change the skills we are searching from mere development to a much more business-oriented solutions.
Renato, you can say your plan of expansion, because we have 4, not 2, we have doubled from the time I introduced you, and also give your experience.
Yeah, regulatory problem, we have to say that we come from Italy, which is not the easiest country to do business, because this is one of the points, so we were not particularly surprised to need the patient also in India. As I told you, our life was much easier because we have an Indian partner which is long experience with the regulatory issue. I would like to say anyhow that it is possible to do business in India, it is possible to solve problems, it is necessary to apply your mind and to find the right consultant and support. What I would like instead to say, one of the points I think that is every day on the newspaper is the launch of the GST. That will really simplify the life of the company, particularly for companies which do manufacturing and trading as well, because of course this is something that will make easy to run business like ours. Regarding the project of expansion, we have to say that we started from scratch in the 2010, and today we have almost 160 employees between direct and indirect employees. In reality, we just doubled last year because we took over a company, a local player, which was present in the central Tamil Nadu. We are going to invest further, so this number will only grow. How many is difficult to say, but our plan is to double again in 5 years, and probably for that time we will have more than 300 people here in India. What I would like to say, because I try to cut my presentation, is also another point. For Sol Group was really important experience, because it was the first experience outside Europe. After this experience, we enter in Africa and we enter in Brazil. So not only India was important itself, but was important to change the mind of a group like Sol, which was present all over Europe. So a suggestion for Italian companies, they look for a new continent, because India is a continent. India could be a choice.
Thank you for this last remark. Now we go to a close. I'm requesting Amedeo to give some closing remark before ending up the section.
I will be very, very short, just 45 to 50 minutes. So, not really. Thank you all for coming here. And yes, we started by presenting Italy, which are the assets of Italy. And I think the best way to conclude really in 20 seconds is just to remind here what we heard, some spot. Today, we heard words like Tamil Nadu is a business-friendly environment. Tamil Nadu is the right choice, someone said. And again, the Italian company said Tamil Nadu is the really best commercial hub for our globalization. Italy and India are symbiotic. I like so much that, as well as our customer give us our bread, pane in Italiano. We should say that our customer from today and more, we hope they will give us our naan or our chapati, why not? And most of all, I like that aside, on the back, in front, on the top of any new initiatives, there are human hearts, human soul, human empathies. Someone said that people drive our growth. I really hope and think, we really hope and think that starting also from today, from this global investor meet, to which the government of Tamil Nadu invited also Italy to be present, we will have more and more cooperation in order to have not only the usual F that I say at the beginning, the furniture, food, football, Ferrari, fashion, and whatever, not only the T for technology, in the Italian production or joint production, but also another consonant, a second T for Tamil Nadu. Thank you all.
Thank you. If you have not yet got any chance, you can visit our stall where some presentation of company and the Sistema Italia is there. Thank you very much for attending.
of Chennai.
And that was John Parker. But that was only a video, but I have with you in flesh and blood people that have come, called Chennai their home, and have made themselves at home, both professionally and personally, in our state. I start with the handsome Hollywood star on my left, Marcus Fillinger, who's managing director of Daimler Buses and vice president, DICV. I was at his inauguration and his launch of his buses most recently, and it was a spectacular show. They make the world's top-class buses, and right here in Oragadam, and that was a big moment of pride for all of us who watched it. So Marcus is from Germany. He has lived in the US, in Indianapolis, and therefore when India came up, he thought, that's going to be similar. Why don't I just go from Indianapolis to India? But it was a little different. He was with General Motors some years ago, and now, for the last 18 years, he's a Daimler chief and has been here for the last 3 years. What do you do for fun? I asked Marcus, and he said, oh, I hang out on the beach, I like to see friends, and I like to do home maintenance. So that is a little tip, that when you move into a home in India, you have a few things to take care of, and you better enjoy it, because then you enjoy the whole experience. And you'll hear from Marcus about that. The word that comes to mind for him is multicultural when he thinks of Tamil Nadu. Please welcome with a round of applause, Marcus Fillinger. Our next speaker on the panel, we have great pleasure in having Paul Kivlehan with his wife and 2 children. They enjoy biking as well, I can see, from Ireland. Paul moved here after having lived in the UK and also the US, in San Francisco, I guess. And it has been in India as well for the last 3 years. And his fun time is, of course, one extra thing, which is boxing. He takes care of his health by boxing. So make sure your questions are more on this side of the room. And then his word for Tamil Nadu is paradox. He says, I've enjoyed the pleasant paradoxes. We'll hear from him. Please welcome Paul Kivlehan. I have the great pleasure to introduce to you Fernanda Pinto Dalbey, who's Portuguese, married to a Frenchman, and together they pretty much are the backbone of Renault, because she is a senior recruiter with Renault and has been for many years, has lived in France and Switzerland serving Renault, and had to take a sabbatical from her work because, you know, one of the things with India is that our spouses aren't given work visas. One of the sad things that we have to overcome, and we are all trying to do that with the central ministry. We will succeed, Fernanda, and when you're back home, I'll tell you how it's working. And she is in India as well for the last 2-3 years. She enjoys going to Kalakshetra School of Dance. That's what she spends time with on weekends. Fernanda is very involved in the expat community. She does work with the American International School parents and does a lot of good shepherding of new parents who come into our country. She finds Tamil Nadu colorful. She says the word that comes to mind is colorful. Please welcome Fernanda. We're delighted to introduce to you and welcome Hidehiro Ishura-san, who is over 30 years, he's been serving the wonderful organization called JETRO, which is the Japan External Trade and Research Organization. They are the community that facilitates the entry of businesses into the other destination countries. And here he has become the Director General here in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu. And of course, he's from Japan, has also lived in Sri Lanka, and in the US, where was it? Texas. So he's used to hot weather, no problem. And in India, since 2013, he enjoys cycling. You can see he's bicycled all the way to Mahabalipuram and enjoys doing that. And the word for Tamil Nadu for him is spicy. Welcome, Ishura-san. Our dear and very first Consul General of South Korea, I'm delighted to welcome Kyung-Soo Kim. We didn't used to have a diplomatic presence before, and this was our first Consul General. He's making waves, such big waves that the Navy is arriving next week, right, from Korea. He just said you're all welcome. So he'll tell you how you're all welcome to watch those waves. Consul General Kim has lived in almost every part of the world. Look at that list. But what was exciting for me is when I met him, he already knew that biryani was his favorite food because he had lived in Pakistan. And of course, he has seen all the other parts of the world. We both speak some Japanese and some languages together. And he's here with his wife and his two lovely boys, whom you see in that picture, are back in Korea. One is in the military and one is studying in the United States. His fun is Royal Enfielding. Isn't that cool? He likes to ride the motorbike and he likes Royal Enfielding. And he finds us warm-hearted. Welcome, Kyung-Soo Kim. So we're going to do a panel discussion on about 10 topics. We'll try and touch topics like housing, which are so important when people come here. First, you got to know where you want to live. Only then you can do anything else, right? So they'll tell you about challenges and good things about housing here in Tamil Nadu. Availability of goods and services, another topic that's important when you're trying to move to a new location. Imagine if all of us Indians had to live in Iceland where no chilies grow, no spices. Would be hard for us. We'd need some that was imported. So too, the availability of goods and services. The work environment is a topic that we will touch upon with people here that have great experience in that area. In this picture, it's a groundbreaking ceremony, and we have opportunities of both sides learning from each other at the work environment. We'll talk about women's safety, and I think that is such a hot topic in today's world. May I interrupt this conversation to ask all those standing at the back to come right up front, please? The entire first rows are empty, and they're not reserved for anybody. Please come and sit here. You're welcome to join us. Thank you. So women's safety, except when the occasional elephant shows up, people feel pretty safe in Tamil Nadu. So I wanted you to hear this from the women in the team. And that doesn't just mean you, Fernanda, because they'll speak on behalf of their wives as well. And then we'll talk about the affordable cost of living here. We'll talk about the schooling options that they are enjoying. And we'll talk about what recreation do you actually do on downtime, how's travel, how child-friendly is our state. For medical facilities, are you just praying that you stay well, like this woman is doing at the Nandi temple? Or are there really great medical facilities that you've experienced? How are the relationships with Indians, both in work and outside of work? And those will be the topics that we'll speak about. So I'm going to go over and give the first question. Shall we start with ladies first? And just say, so tell us something about housing. How did you find your housing? What's great about it? What are some challenges? Please share with us.
Thank you. I would like to tell you, well, my husband has visited 32 houses before our arrival in Chennai and made a short list of 10 for me. I came to visit them during my pre-assignment trip, and I did not choose any of them. One was too big, one was too small, one was okay, but my husband kept quiet, as knowing that he would not spend too much time at home. The choice must be mine. I was a little bit desperate, but the very last day of our assignment trip, we went into a house, or to be precise, into a garden of a house. I saw two wonderful frangipani trees in the garden, full of flowers. I have a very good friend who always says that you cannot be sad in front of the beauty of the frangipani's flowers. The house was closed, and the tenant forgot to come at the appointment. Sometimes it's arrived. We could not enter, just looking by the window. Never mind. I decided to choose this house without having visited it inside. We are still living there after 2 years. But, well, To be honest, I must admit that I had some apprehensions to move into the house and to leave the comfortable hotel where we stayed the first months of our arrival in Chennai. I had never been confronted to the reality of a daily house in a Chennai. And to be honest, the expats had told me so many stories, and not all good. You will see, when you move to your house, trouble start. There is always something wrong with the electricity, with AC, with the maid, blah, 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 blah. Finally, I begged my husband to stay in the hotel 1 more week, or why not 2 or 3 years. Fortunately, my husband is absolutely not agree with this, and we finally moved quickly. And I really love my house. Of course, there are some problems from time to time, but nothing which cannot fix. You know, there are almost 60 Renault families, and no one for Renault, and no one had to stay in the hotel for 3 years. Everybody has found a nice house. As a conclusion, I would say that it is important to carefully choose your house. There are some simple advice and rules, and that it's better to respect. And some agencies, like Global Adjustment, for example, can help. Chennai is a vibrant city, constantly changing and moving. The traffic and the noise could be tiring for people who are not used to it. It is important to have a place where you can rest and recharge your battery. Thank you.
And if I could just add to that, I suppose from my perspective, my scenario was slightly different to Fernanda's in that we rushed into buying to moving into our first house. We had great assistance from Global Adjustments, and the house was lovely, and we thought, yeah, this will be really nice to live in. After about 2 months there, we then noticed some bricks in the house beside us, and we asked what was happening, and they said they were building a house there. And we asked how high it was going to be, and they said, oh, just 1 story, maybe 2. And after a few more months, we noticed 3 stories, 4 stories, 5 stories, and it completely overshadowed our garden. We kind of thought we'd be able to live with that until one Sunday afternoon we had some friends over, we were having a barbecue, and this very loud music started up. So I went outside to have a look to see where the music was coming from, realized it was from a house across the way, and Rosanna from Global Adjustment is there in the audience. She's heard this story many times. But I walked over to the house, and they told me actually it was a new party house, and that they were going to use the house to have parties every weekend. Now, I hadn't experienced Indian music beforehand, but since I've been here, I realized that Indians like to have the bass up as loud as they can. And therefore, when we had guests over to have a barbecue, it wasn't the most relaxing place to be. So we took a decision that we would look to move house after about 8 or 9 months. And then we did find a house that we're extremely happy with, that doesn't have a party house beside it, and has got lovely green fields all around it, so you know our privacy isn't impeded upon. But I suppose the point of the story that I'm trying to make is that sometimes it does take a bit of trial and error here, okay? You know, the first place that you see or maybe even move into might not be the right place, and you know, in Barclays where I work is a very different scenario to Renault, in that I think everybody in Barclays that's moved into a house has subsequently moved on to a second one where they've ended up happy.
One more comment on the housing from my side. So 34 houses we did not check before coming to Chennai. We checked 29. And I had to do it without the family in 1.5 days. And my wife said, if you can't find, I'm not going. So it was quite clear, the positions, that it's not a privilege to have a house in Chennai. It will be a must for my family. And that's something I want to share to you, that if you have a family and you're moving to Chennai, you must have a house. You must have these things where the noise will come down, where you're with your family, where you can mingle, where you can have friends. And being here since 4 years, I must say, I get envy. We have switched the houses, however, when I see the quality and when I see also how they look like, they improve year by year. I couldn't believe when I was invited by one of my people from work, having a beach house close to here. How does it look like? So there is a great improvement what was happening here in Chennai in terms of housing. And for sure, it's not easy to select and to look when you come from Europe, what is the major and the key thing when you go to the house. But I promise you,